Hey everyone, welcome to another one of my LinkedIn live events. Today's event is going to be a continuation of the last one that we had, which is confidence in romantic relationships. And today we are going to be talking in depth about trauma bonds in romantic relationships. So, a very big reason why some people tend to continuously have really volatile romantic relationships, or they end up attracting partners that do not really add to their life, and they end up having toxic relationships, or they get into relationships and then they find out that okay, this is not working out for them. So there are consistent repetitive patterns some people tend to have in their life throughout all of the romantic relationships. So today we are going to study what exactly is the reason for that, right? And the major reason why some people tend to experience such karmic relationships is because they have a trauma bond with their partners, which means that whenever they are getting into a romantic relationship, it is not from a place of love, it is not coming from a healthy place, but coming from a place of trauma, right? And it is so unconscious in nature that they are not even aware that they are doing it, right? That is why a lot of people feel that we're doing all the right things, yet we end up getting in relationships where the partner is not valuing us, or we end up in relationships where we are not happy, where we are giving everything and yet we are getting nothing in return. Because one thing that is consistent with trauma is that, specifically childhood trauma, and if you've not healed it, it is very unconscious in nature, right? You don't even know how you are creating situations in your life which is coming from place of trauma. On surface level you think that everything is great, and on surface level you tend to victimize yourself that I don't know why all of this is happening to me, I'm such a great person, I'm doing everything right. But it is only when you've done deep inner work, it is only when you have actually asked yourself questions that are right, will you understand your own role in your own suffering, right? And that is what we're going to be discussing today. So before we start, I'm just going to check if my audio and video is visible. How we usually conduct these live events is that I will be explaining to you a topic in depth, and in between, if at all any question comes up for you, you can just comment below where the live event is going on, or you can just DM me and I'll answer your questions. And in case you're watching this as a recording, either on YouTube, where, by the way, I upload this live events, or you're watching it on LinkedIn, you can just comment or again DM me and I will answer the questions you have. And in case you would like to work with me one on one in my coaching sessions, you can simply DM me coaching and I will send you the link to book a session with me. And in case you are wondering how to attend the 4-day childhood trauma healing boot camp, I'm currently giving out recordings of that, right? So you can like complete it on your pace, and for that you can just DM me boot camp and I will send you the recordings of that. Okay, so let me just see if audio and video is working fine. I think it is, or maybe it's not. I'm unable to tell actually at this point. I think it's working fine. Yeah. All right. So let's begin. So let's first understand what exactly is a trauma bond, right? So a trauma bond is basically a bond that you end up developing in a relationship with your partner, which is coming from a place of trauma rather than a place of love or from a healthy place. Now, usually a healthy romantic relationship is where you come from a place of love, self-respect, and from a place of I want to be loved and I also want to love, but not at the cost of unhealthy patterns, not at the cost of toxicity, not at the cost of um, my own needs and wants and desires, right? So healthy relationships are often where people adjust in a healthy way with each other. Unhealthy relationships is where people compromise themselves, right? And often people tend to confuse between the two. Adjusting is what a healthy relationship is about, compromise is where it becomes unhealthy. When you start to compromise your goals, when you start to compromise your identity, when you start to compromise your needs and wants and desires because you think that that is what you need to do, that you need to sacrifice yourself in order for the relationship to keep going. So a healthy relationship is where you don't feel the need to compromise. And again is A healthy relationship is also where you know what you want. You are very open in asking exactly what you want. You are very open in expressing what you want, and you see that your partner reciprocates in the same way. You see that your partner is also very honest and open with you. And in a healthy relationship, you don't feel stifled. You don't feel that I can't express myself or I can't be myself. You're not always second guessing the relationship or yourself or your partner, right? So in a healthy relationship, it feels like that the person is adding to my happiness, right, not taking it away. And in an unhealthy relationship, it feels like that my life has become even more chaotic after I've gotten into the relationship. Now there is another nuance to it. If you are someone who gets into a relationship from a place of loneliness, then you may feel that, oh, my partner is adding to my happiness. No. Whenever you are entering into a healthy relationship, the first condition is that you yourself are happy as a person. If you are getting into a relationship from an unhappy place, then it means that it is bound to backfire. It is just going to backfire in some way or another way. Either it will happen today or in few months or in a year, but it will. Because what is happening is that you are attracting a partner into your life from a place of a very low vibration, which means that the partner you end up attracting will end up intensifying your loneliness or sadness or whatever void you feel, and you are trying to use or trying to get into a relationship to fill that. The person will end up intensifying that void. So in case you are in that category, that, oh, I was sad before but now I'm in a relationship, so at least I have something. No, that's again a trauma bond. That's again a very unhealthy place to be in. Always remember that whenever a partner walks into your life, they will always respond to the energy and vibration you have in that moment. What is energy and vibration? Energy and vibration is what you think and feel about yourself every single day. That is why people who get into relationships out of loneliness, out of desperation, out of sadness, out of this void, that, you know what, I feel so lonely, I feel so sad, I just want someone to talk to, or I just want to be in a relationship and it will take away all of my problems. Whenever such people get into relationships, they end up manifesting partners who almost always are very unavailable to them, right? And then they wonder, oh my god, what have I done to deserve this? So always remember that before a relationship gets bad, before it comes to a point where your relationship has hit its dead end or it is feeling toxic, always see how exactly it started. What were you thinking and feeling about yourself when you got into the relationship? It is going to play a very big role in what is the dominant vibration going to be, right? And this is what we tend to miss, and this is something I also mentioned in the last live event. In case you have not watched it, go watch it. It is a very in-depth explanation of developing confidence while you're in a romantic relationship. And in one of those topics I mentioned that we often tend to focus on what is happening when we have gotten into the relationship, but it starts before. It starts when you have just gotten to know the person, and it starts from how you're thinking and feeling about yourself. So if that place is unhealthy, if the foundation is shaky, then the entire building is also going to be shaky. So everything matters. The middle matters, yes, of course, because it is visible, but the invisible also matters, which is the beginning of the relationship, which is what state of mind were you in when you got into the relationship? What were you thinking and feeling about yourself? What was your self esteem like? What was your intention like? And intention is also a very crucial word here, because I have also spoken to some people who have told me that, you know what, Yanshi, our intention when we started dating this particular person was that we just wanted someone because we were so lonely, and now we want more, but the other person doesn't want that, or the person is simply not reciprocating, or they go into this victim mode that I'm doing so much for this person, why can't they reciprocate? So always remember that if your intention is one thing, you won't get another thing in the end, as in a reality or in a conclusion. You will only get in proportion to your intention. So if your intention has been that I want to be casual, or I want to get into a relationship because I'm lonely, or I just want to, pass my time, then please expect that you will not get anything serious out of it or concrete out of this person or this relationship. So trying to force it, trying to feel like a victim, is not on the other person. It's on you. It's your fault. And it's very important to own it, right? Okay, so instead of digressing more, we'll come to the topic at hand. Now, I'm going to discuss a few signs of a trauma bond when it comes to a relationship, because again, I will try to cover as much as I can, but there are many nuances to relationships. There are many stages of it, and unless and until you have not actually worked one on one, you can't really figure out where the problem is lying. But I hope to cover every single base that I can today. Okay. So, the very first sign of a trauma bond relationship is that the relationship is very unstable. Now, what do I mean by unstable? Unstable means that it's a very hot and cold and push and pull relationship, which means that there's a lack of stability in the relationship. Half of the time, you don't even know what's going to happen. Half of the time, you're just second guessing. Half of the time, you're thinking that, oh my God, my relationship is going to fall apart if we have just one more fight. Half of the time you're just wondering, I don't know whether we'll be together the next month or not. So instability is that. Instability is when you can't actually rely on your relationship, when your relationship doesn't feel like a safe space, when your relationship feels like a freaking war zone. It's a dramatic place. And one thing I often tell, even to my married clients, is that reaching a phase of boredom is actually a sign of a healthy relationship, because that means that you feel safe and secure. Think about when you are with your parents, and assuming that you have a healthy relationship with your parents, you don't always have everything to talk about with them, right? It's not like every conversation is very exciting, everything is always exciting at home, but it feels safe, right? So that safe is what you should be aiming in a relationship. And uh, how some people end up attracting drama into their life, even in the relationship, or things like situationship and whatnot is going on these days, is because of two reasons. Okay, one is their own self-esteem is very low. Okay, and when their self-esteem is very low, they end up attracting partners who are very emotionally unavailable, who always put them on edge. Second is that they're so anxious and they're so used to drama, they're so addicted to chaos, their nervous system is so addicted to chaos, their body feels so comfortable in chaos, that when a relationship gets stable, they lose interest. It happens to some people that whenever a relationship is getting stable, whenever they start feeling safe in a relationship, and they see that, okay, a sense of monotony has entered, a sense of stability has entered, they call it boredom. They say that, oh my God, I've lost interest, there is no spark anymore, there's no passion anymore, and then they break it off and they look for another adventure, right? So they constantly unconsciously create chaos in their life. They like creating drama in their life, and they do it because they feel unsafe in safety, because they must have had so much of chaotic so much of chaos in their life, that now being in a safe relationship feels very unnatural to them. And that is why trauma bonded relationships is so deeply connected to childhood trauma, because when you yourself do not know how it feels like to be safe, you will end up going into unsafe places only. Because you must understand that your body will always choose a familiar hell over an unfamiliar heaven. Always. So if you have not healed as a person, you will also end up attracting unhealed people into your life. That is where the very first sign is having an unstable relationship, where you're never sure what is happening in your relationship. Second is toxic behavior and abuse. Now, toxic behavior and abuse can be both physical and emotional, right? So, here it could mean, so physical abuse is very self-explanatory, but still I want to mention any kind of physical abuse from your partner. It doesn't always have to be that somebody is slapping you, hitting you, and kicking your stuff like that. Any kind of physical abuse, like a person is always trying to push you, a person is getting dangerously close to hitting you and stuff like that, it also counts as unsafety and abuse, and that is not healthy. Okay. Similarly, emotional abuse, when a person is constantly looking down on you, making you feel very bad about yourself, calling you names, making you feel really horrible about the way you are as a person, could be maybe the way you look, maybe the way you think, your choices. They're always trying to pull your self confidence down. Like when you are around them, you don't feel good about yourself, right? You're constantly second guessing yourself, you're constantly feeling bad about yourself, right? So emotional abuse comes in with that as well. Now, a few more things that comes under emotional abuse is gaslighting. So gaslighting is when a when you are telling something someone and the other person is unwilling to see the truth. They are trying to call you a liar, and they're trying to tell you that you are wrong. For example, let's say that I have lied to you, and you're coming to me and telling me that, Rianshi, why have you lied to me? And I tell you, and I know, right, my lie has been caught. I can see it, but I will keep telling you, where have I lied? This is not true. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to make a fool out of you. I'm trying to make you think that you're crazy, right? So that is gaslighting. When a person makes you think that you don't know what is real and what is not real, that's gaslighting. That is also a form of emotional abuse. Another forms of emotional abuse is always creating situations in your relationship where you always have to give them attention, where you just can't be in the spotlight. So this is a subtle form of emotional manipulation, where you are with a partner who always ends up creating so much drama in their life, wherein anytime you are supposed to focus on your life, you can't. You have to go rescue them. So they will do multiple things to grab your attention. They will always create situations in their life to grab your attention. Another is always catastrophizing things, which means that instead of dealing with issues in the relationships, they always make a huge drama about everything. They create a fight out of everything. And then another form of abuse is simple verbal abuse, where they are abusing you verbally, where they say a lot of unkind words to you. They are using language with you that makes you feel bad about yourself, and basically they're using language with you that is not okay with you, right? That makes you feel unsafe, and that is not decent, right? Whatever your version of decent is. And the next one is infidelity. And infidelity is again is on two levels, right? Physical and emotional. Physical infidelity is very common. It is when you have a physical relationship with someone outside of your committed relationship and your partner does not know. Why I'm adding the second clause, that your partner does not know, is because there are open relationships as well, wherein there is a consensual agreement between two people that, okay, it's okay to have physical relationship outside of our committed relationship. So that is okay. If there is a verbal consensus, that's fine. But if you are being intimate with someone outside of your committed relationship, and your partner does not know about it, or the physical relationship is not to a point that you're actually getting into bed with them, but it's just, let's say, flirting with someone, or getting close with someone in a way where you and your partner have not discussed about it, or your partner may not be okay with it and you're hiding it, that is also a form of infidelity. See, infidelity is less about the physical act of cheating and more about the fact that you know that you're doing wrong, and that is why you're hiding it from your partner, right? So that is infidelity. And that is why emotional infidelity also comes into the picture. So emotional infidelity is basically when you are getting emotionally very intimate with other people the way you are actually not with your partner, or you would rather hide things from your partner and tell it to someone else. Now there are nuances to this. Okay, emotional infidelity is not black and white. Sometimes you may not share things with your partner because you actually don't feel safe with your partner. You believe that your partner will not understand you, or your partner may be reactive. In that case, then it is a completely different conversation. It's more about you being in the wrong relationship. But when you are consciously doing this, right, when you are in a relationship but you would rather get close to someone else and not actually with your partner, that also counts as emotional infidelity. Because you have to understand that when it comes to a relationship, it's not just about physical contact, it's also about the depth of the emotion you share. In fact, the difference between a relationship uh, where there is intimacy and a simple one night stand is the fact that a person you're in a relationship with knows you in and out, right? So emotional infidelity is also as big as physical infidelity. Okay. Now, another is, and a very big important one, is lack of trust in your partner. Now, lack of trust doesn't always mean that you think that your partner is cheating on you. It's not always that. Okay. A lot of people think that lack of trust means that, my partner is cheating on me, or that I think that my partner might cheat on me. No, that's not that. Lack of trust is when you think that I cannot be myself, or I cannot express everything that I think and feel to my partner, because I don't trust them that they will understand me. I don't trust them that they will keep it to themselves, or I don't trust that they will not exploit it, right? That is the kind of trust I'm talking about. So when you don't believe that I can be myself with my partner, because they will not accept me, or they will never understand me, or they will go and tell the world about my secrets, or they will exploit it, or they may use it against me, that is also a very, very big red flag. Because again, the difference between a relationship you have with your partner and with other people is the very fact that you have that level of emotional intimacy where you feel that you can completely be yourself, where you can tell your partner things that you may not even want to tell anyone else in the world, even your parents, even your family. So when that trust is missing in the relationship, where you feel that my partner is maybe very judgmental, or my partner is extremely critical, or my partner will never understand me, or that what, I have to keep it to myself, I can't tell it to my partner, that is also a very big red flag. Now, this red flag can be again from two places. One, it could be from your partner, that your partner actually is not someone you trust, or this partner has repeatedly shown you in the past that they cannot be trusted. But another is from you. Let's say you are someone who is a very distrusting person in general. You don't like to trust people, or you believe that people will take advantage of me. So basically it's a you problem, right? So it can come from both the places, and again, you have to do one-on-one inner work to resolve where this distrust is coming from, right? Okay. Coming to the next point is complete dependence on your partner. Now, what do I mean by this? So, when I'm saying dependence, I don't just mean dependence in the sense of financial dependence. Okay, that is your lookout as a couple. If you believe that you have that arrangement works with you, that is okay. I'm talking about dependence in the sense of emotional dependence, where you feel handicapped when your partner is not around, where you feel that I have to just completely lay everything on my partner, or that if I'm not in a if my partner is not around, I can't do anything in my life. Or when you have this belief that if I'm not in a relationship, that's it, I can't do anything in my life, right? So when being in a relationship becomes a center focus in your life is also a very big red flag in you, because then you are coming from a place that I am incomplete, and someone else has to come like a freaking puzzle piece to complete me. Now, when you come from that place, see what tends to happen. And this is not a cliche, okay? A lot of people think that it's a cliche. It's not. See, it's very okay to want a romantic relationship, but when you start needing it is when it becomes very dangerous. Because I'll tell you the difference between need and want. When you want a relationship, your standards are high, okay? If not high, at least they are at a level where you think and you evaluate that, okay, this is the person who meets my criteria, this is the kind of behavior I want in my partner, this is the kind of things I'm okay with, not okay with, you think. But when you need a relationship, when you become desperate for things, what tends to happen is that you become blind to red flags, right? You stop looking at the person objectively, and you only come from a place of neediness, that what, it's okay, everything is okay with me, I just want to be in a relationship, right? So when you have that kind of dependence in a romantic relationship on your partner, it's a very big red flag in you, specifically in you. If your partner is like that, then it is a red flag in them. So here again, you must do one-on-one work with your coach, you must heal your traumas, and you must work on where is this sense of loneliness coming from, because this is not healthy. Either you will end up attracting a partner who will exploit this neediness from you, or you will end up being in a relationship with a good person and then repelling them. Because taking yourself and putting that entire baggage on your partner, that what, you are my everything, fulfill me in every way, is incredibly heavy. It's a very big baggage, and it's a very big responsibility to give to someone. Your partner is not your everything, and they cannot be your everything, and they should not be your everything. Your partner is a part of your life, definitely a big one, but a part of your life. If you've made your partner your everything, you're putting too much pressure on them. It means that if tomorrow something were to go wrong, you will completely blame them, and then you will feel like my entire life is falling apart, because your entire personality has become your relationship. So it's a dangerous place to be at, right? So it's very important to not have that complete dependence on your partner. You must be independent in your thinking, in your emotions. You must feel independent in the way you take decisions in your life. It should not be that I cannot take a decision. I cannot be anything or anyone else if I am not in a relationship, right? Okay, I will just quickly check if there are any questions so far. Okay, so far we have none. Let's move forward. All right, the next point is having a lack of voice. Now, lack of voice means that you feel that I cannot express my true thoughts and feelings to my partner because I'm afraid. I'm afraid that my partner might leave me. I'm afraid that my partner might not understand me. I'm afraid that my partner might criticize me. I'm afraid that I have to pretend to be something or someone to get love from my partner. Or if I am myself, my partner will think less of me and they will leave me. So all of these fears is a culmination of two things. One is, yes, you might be in an unhealthy relationship where you feel that you can't be yourself. Second is that you are pretending to be something or someone because your self confidence is low, because you think that you have to create a facade for someone to be in a relationship with you, right? So again, here this is also a red flag. This is also a result of you either ending up in relationship with someone where you are pretending to be something, and again ending up attracting a wrong partner, or you are in a relationship where you just cannot be yourself, right? So this is also a sign of a trauma bond relationship. And the next one is very very obvious one, wherein you are completely putting one sided efforts, where you feel that I am the only one who takes all the efforts into the world and my partner is actually doing nothing. My partner gives very little to me. There is this term called breadcrumbing. So breadcrumbing is when you do this much for your partner, and your partner gives you like breadcrumbs to feed on, and you latch onto it and you're like, oh my god, my partner has done something for me, right? So basically the proportion of the effort is very imbalanced, wherein you feel that you are doing a lot for your partner and your partner actually isn't doing anything for you or very very little for you. So this is also a sign of a trauma bond relationship, wherein the give and take in a relationship is not equal, right? Now, see, obviously it's not possible for your relationship to always be 50-50 all the time, because obviously life happens. But I'm talking about most of the times. If you can see today that maybe your partner is able to only able to give you 30% today, but you have seen him in the past or seen her in the past giving efforts, then you can know that that okay, something is going on right now, or that maybe my partner needs me more in this moment. But if you've always seen this as a pattern where you are the one who's always giving more and your partner actually isn't, then it's a very big red flag that you are in a relationship where you are giving all the efforts. And this is also a sign of a trauma bond relationship. The next one is being unable to let go of your partner. Now, what do I mean by this? See, when you are in an unhealthy relationship, you do get signs. It's not like you're not aware. In fact, even when a breakup is about to happen or a divorce is about to happen, it's not that it's a one time event. You have been aware for a while now. But what tends to happen to some people is that they're just unable to let go of the partner. They will rather completely sacrifice and compromise themselves financially, emotionally, physically, spiritually, because they believe that I love my partner so much, I will give everything. That's not healthy. That is not healthy in any way. You're not supposed to give everything. That's not a sign of a good relationship or a healthy relationship. When you've come to that point, it means that you've become sacrificial. And when you start becoming a sacrificial figure in your relationship, that is a very big sign of a trauma bond. And when you're unable to let go of that relationship, no matter how toxic it is for you, that's also a sign of a trauma bond. Now, there could be multiple reasons why you're unable to let go of the relationship. Could be loneliness, fear of loneliness. Could be that you think that I will never find someone. Could be that I should give one more chance to my partner. Could also be where you have this image, that past image of your partner that you're holding on to, but your partner is still simply not the same person anymore. It's like, you know you and I are in a relationship and I have completely changed as a person, but you have this image of me of 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and you think that, oh my god, Riyan, she used to be like this, one day she will change, right? So holding on to a hope. Another is when you are constantly hoping that one day my partner will change. basically falling in love with the potential of a person. It's also a very big red flag, very big sign of a trauma bond, where you're not in love with the person you are with right now, but you are in the hope that one day they will change. If we get married, they will change. If we have a child, they will change. If we do this work, they will change. If I become this, they will change. Right? So basically falling in love with the potential of a person, that is also a sign of a trauma bond. And the next is ignoring all the red flags. So this is again very common and related to the point that I've just said, wherein you are able to see that the relationship is not going right. When you're able to see that the kind of relationship I wanted for myself, it is nowhere near this, but you still don't want to let go. When your loved ones are telling you that you are in the wrong relationship, but you still don't want to let go. This is also a sign of being in a trauma bond relationship. And the next one is compromising. Now, when I say compromise, I mean compromising everything. And please understand that in a relationship, you're not supposed to compromise, you're supposed to adjust and accommodate. There's a very big difference between the two. I've seen a lot of people use the word compromise and adjust interchangeably when it is not. Compromising is when you give up a part of yourself in order to please the partner, in order for that relationship to survive. Adjusting and accommodating is when you and your partner meet in the middle way, where you also get 50% of what you want and the partner also gets 50% of what you want. That is adjusting and accommodation. That is what a relationship should be. You are not lesser or bigger than your partner, you're equal to your partner. And if you don't feel equal to your partner, please, please, please work on your self confidence. Your partner is not responsible for that. Nobody is responsible for that. In fact, your self confidence and your self esteem is going to determine the kind of partner you attract in your life. Most underconfident people, most people who have low self-esteem are the ones who end up getting into a relationship with abusive partners, with people who take advantage of them, with people who would ask them to sacrifice and stuff like that. I have not found people who are confident getting into toxic relationships because they're able to recognize, right? And the thing is that, oh, there's something wrong with my screen, I think. All right, I don't know what's wrong, so I'm just going to continue. Anyway, so as I was saying, that when it comes to confident people, they don't actually end up getting into toxic relationships, or even if they do get into it, they're able to recognize it very fast. And the reason is that you teach other people how to love you the way you love yourself. And when you don't love yourself, when you are deeply underconfident, when you have a lot of self-esteem issues, or you have a lot of trauma, unprocessed trauma, then it's going to come out into your relationship, right? And when that happens, that is when the true test is. So it's very imperative for you to work on your self confidence if you actually want a healthy relationship, because your partner is not your mind reader. You're going to have to sometimes teach your partner how to treat you, and they will treat you right, and you will attract the right people into your life when other people see how you behave with yourself. When you love yourself very deeply, you will also attract a partner who will match that kind of love. When you don't love yourself, you will end up attracting a partner who will intensify that feeling, or who will not know how to love you right. Because it's not someone else's job to love you. Your job is to love you. Someone else's job is to add on to that love. So they can't fill your cup. Okay? You have to fill your cup. All right. So let's talk about the reason why we have a trauma bond, or why exactly do trauma bonds exist in the first place. If you see me looking down, I'm just looking at my notebook where I write bullet points so I don't forget things. Okay, so the very first thing which is responsible for having a trauma bond in relationships is unhealed childhood trauma. Now, in terms of unhealed childhood trauma, there is a vast topic. Okay, but I'll just cover a few. The very first thing is lack of confidence and lack of self-esteem. So when you have always had a lack of self-esteem and lack of confidence, you will always underestimate yourself, right? And you will always be, grateful for even little things, right? In a sense that if someone gives you this much, you will feel like, oh my god, this person has done so much for me. So your standards are very low when your confidence is low, right? And when your standards are low, you will accept anyone or everyone, and that is problematic. If you want a good partner, your standards also need to be high, which means that you need to see whether this person is actually right for me or not. That if I want this amount of love and the person can only give me this, it means that this person is not right for me, right? So it is only possible when your confidence is high. And often lack of self confidence and lack of self esteem starts to develop in the childhood. Another reason why trauma bond exists is the love that you don't get from your parent is the love that you look for in your partner. Now kids, adults who did not get love from either one of their parents, from a mother or father, or both of them, they tend to look for that love in their partner. So again, it is coming from a place where their inner child is very unsafe, where the inner child, is looking for love everywhere. And when you yourself have not felt loved, what is going to happen is that you will look for that love in outside people, and you will get into as many relationships as you can, or you will end up getting into toxic relationships and you don't want to come out because you feel that I will hold on to any amount of love that I can get. So the love that you don't get from your mother and father, which causes mother and father wound, is going to affect your romantic relationship as well. Another is fear of loneliness. So if you are someone who has always been afraid of loneliness, or loneliness is something that has always been a part of you, that is also going to result into you attracting wrong relationships, or you just getting into the relationship for the sake of not feeling that loneliness. And I've discussed the aspect of loneliness and how it is connected to childhood trauma in a deeper way in other of my posts. But fear of loneliness also comes from having a break in the bond with both of your parents. So when you don't receive unconditional love and unconditional attention from your parents, this deep sense of loneliness and sadness starts to come in, which is always there in your nervous system until you start healing, unless you go do inner work. So when there is a break in the bond with your parents, it can result into you getting into a unhealthy relationship, or you getting into a relationship simply out of loneliness. Then next is being used to mistreatment. So when you have had a traumatic childhood where you've been mistreated all your life, right? Maybe first it started in your house. You were always mistreated in your house. You were never valued. You were never respected. Your opinions were not respected. So what tends to happen is that your um, understanding of love becomes very foggy. You believe that disrespect is very common. You start to think that mistreatment is you know uh, is very common. And as a child, what happens is that when a child gets mistreated, he starts to think that that is what he or she deserves, right? So in that case, when you're always used to mistreatment, you may end up attracting a partner who mistreats you too, and you will justify it and you will normalize it. See, at the end of the day, we accept love we think we deserve. And when you have been used to mistreatment, it is a very high chance that you will normalize mistreatment in your romantic relationships also, right? So, here again, it's very important to work on your self image and self confidence if you actually want to be in a healthy relationship. And another aspect of why we end up getting into trauma bonds is your relationship with your life givers, which is your parents, your mom and dad. Now, your very first understanding of love and marriage and relationship develops when you see your parents' marriage. And when you see that your parents' marriage has been toxic, let's say, maybe your mother is very abusive towards your father, very verbally abusive, or you see your father is very abusive towards your mother, and you see that there is really no affection between the both of them, it's a transactional marriage, or it is very common for one of your parents to always handle everything, and the other person is just being a burden to the other parent, or you see that mom and dad are in a very disrespectful relationship. So when you grow up seeing all of this, your idea of love also becomes that. So your standard and your image of a relationship again is very low here, right? And this can result into you getting into a relationship where you are also getting mistreated, and somewhere you have normalized it because that's what you've seen your mom and dad do, right? So seeing your mom and dad in an unhappy relationship can also create a very deep impact on your psyche, and it can also impact your future relationships. Now another is their behavior towards you. So as I told you before as well, that when you have felt unloved your entire childhood, when you have felt that nobody was actually there for me, nobody really gave me the attention that I should have gotten as a child, or mom and dad weren't really there for me, I always had to earn their love, I always had to do something special to get their love. What is happening is that there is a sense of feeling of being unloved. And when you feel unloved as a child, you look for that love outside your house, right? Which means that you will look for it in your partners. And this creates a series of relationships wherein you're always looking for that love. You may also burden your partner with that okay, love me unconditionally the way my parents couldn't, right? Very unconsciously. Or you may end up in toxic relationships and you don't want to let go because this is the first time you're experiencing any kind of love. Or you may get into physical relationships very easily because any kind of love is okay with you at this point, right? So this also affects your relationship. That is why working on the mother wound and the father wound is the first thing I do with my clients. Whenever clients come to me and they tell me that, Rianchi, I'm facing problems in my marriage or I'm facing problems in my relationship, I always work with their mother and father wound because they are the foundation of your understanding of love, your understanding of yourself, and your understanding of your relationships, right? And the next is a dynamic between you and them. So what your dynamic has been between you and your parents is also going to determine your love language. So for example, let's say that growing up, your parents never were always busy, right? They never really paid attention to you, and you always had to do something to earn their love. So there is a very high chance that even in your romantic relationship, you will always feel that I have to do more, I have to give more. So it can become very exhausting, right? You may end up getting into a relationship where you're giving this much and the other partner is giving this much, and you're okay with it because you think this is how love is, that I have to always give and give and give, and I will get this much in return. Because the kind of love we experience from our parents is the it becomes a model for us, it becomes the model of love for us, and we take that model everywhere into our life, into our friendships, and also into our relationships. So very, very, very important to do inner childhood work. Now, how can you heal this wound? Now, I'll be very honest, this is something that you cannot just sit down and chant away or do affirmations. You actually have to do deep trauma work. You actually have to do deep childhood trauma work and intergenerational trauma work. But here are a few questions I would want you to ask yourself to become more clear when it comes to the problems you are facing. So, the very first thing I want to do is I want you to first understand the gravity of the situation. Okay. So, one problematic thing I found in some people is that a lot of people think that their relationship will just one day automatically take care of itself, like they don't have to do anything. Like they know they're in a toxic relationship, they know it's not working out, they know they're unhappy, but they're so afraid of separation, or they're so afraid of working on the relationship, they're so afraid of talking about their issues. They hope and pray that things will change one day. And I wanted to understand the gravity of the situation, that the time you spend with your life partner, the time you spend with your partner is is the most significant amount of time in your life. The impact a partner has on your finances, on your career, on your self respect, on your self confidence, on the future children you're going to have is very, very huge. You don't even spend that amount of time with your parents the way you do with your partner. So if you are someone who always ends up in the wrong relationship, if you are someone who is in a wrong relationship right now, fix it. Understand the gravity of the situation, because nobody is going to come and rescue you. Okay, you are the only one who can save yourself. So do your inner work. Now, second is identify the problem. Now, how do you identify the problem areas? Simply take a notebook and write down in a page, what does your dream relationship look like? When you thought about getting into a relationship for the very first time in your life, or when you think about it now, what does a dream relationship look like for you? Write down all of it in a page and see how many gaps exist between what you've written and in the relationship you are in right now. And then ask yourself, What am I doing to fix these gaps? Are these gaps fixable? If they are not fixable, am I willing to leave? And why am I not willing to leave if I can leave? What am I doing to fix these gaps? Am I actually talking, to my partner about these gaps? Does my partner even know that these are the problems I have in the relationship? I wanted to answer all of these questions in depth, and I wanted to write each one of them down. And the next and the final part is work with a coach of your choice and heal childhood trauma and the intergenerational trauma that you might be carrying. Because ultimately, our relationship with our life givers and the childhood trauma that we have not processed, we are is the reason we end up recreating pain again and again in our lives. I personally help clients in my one-on-one sessions with childhood trauma and intergenerational trauma, and that automatically results into their romantic relationships getting better, right? Because when your energy changes, when you release pain from your body, the entire dynamic of the relationship also changes. So if you're someone who's looking to do this deep one-on-one work with me, feel free to DM me coaching and book a session, and we will do a family traumagram of you, and we will see where exactly are the issues coming from. And if you have any questions so far, feel free to DM me on LinkedIn. And if you have any questions apart from this live event as well, you can just slide into my DMs and just ask me. I'll be doing live events every single day this week because I kind of missed a lot of my live events for the past 2 months. But I have committed to doing one live every single day to make up for all the lost time. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. And I will see you tomorrow at the same time, which is 5 p.m. IST. Bye bye.